An amazing atmosphere in Chapel Hill as it is the final home meet for the North Carolina Tar Heels, and it is senior day. Tonight from Carmichael Arena, it's an ACC-SEC showdown as they take on one of the best teams in the country, the 6th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Thanks for joining us here on ACC Network Extra. I'm Brian Ware, along with former All-American Sydney Sneed. Sydney, both teams have found consistent form these last few weeks, and with the postseason on the horizon, getting a great score tonight is imperative.
Absolutely. And Brian, last time Carolina was here in Carmichael, they got their season high score. Kentucky last weekend coming off beating a program record of a 198-1 total score. So we're going to see some high-level gymnastics tonight. Yeah, and we're going to see some high-level gymnastics from 2 All-Americans last year, Lali Dekanoidze and Raina Worley. Lali Dekanoidze, just a rock-solid athlete for this Carolina team and has been such a standout. She's an All-American on bars and just such a gorgeous gymnast to watch. She's definitely one to keep an eye on tonight. Raina Worley, one of the best gymnasts in the country right now and has been all year. You can see here why. She's #1 on floor and #3 in the all-around. But overall, just such a confident and gorgeous gymnast to watch as well. So we're going to have some fun keeping up with her. Yeah, we're going to follow her a lot throughout this meet. And as Carolina will start on the vault, you got to look at their lineup. Gwen Fink is going to lead off, has shown great consistency this season in 2024. And you got Dekanoidze and Forbes at the back end. And there you see Gwen Fink talking with head coach Dan Durante. There you get a look at Tim Garrison, the head coach of Kentucky, as well as the Wildcats lineup. Obviously, Raina Worley will be on the back end as Gwen Fink gets us started here from Carmichael. She starts off with her Yurchenko full. Really nicely done, especially for that leadoff spot. Great distance from the table and a really controlled landing. Take another look here. Nice height off the table and just finds that. Has that small hop back, but again, strong first leadoff. Yeah, she had a season best 9.825 a couple weeks ago at Littlejohn Coliseum down in Clemson. And leading off first for Kentucky will be Hallie Davis, senior from New Bern, North Carolina. She's got a lot of fans here in Chapel Hill. Starts out with that huge straddle Jaeger. Notice just all of the handstands on top of the bar. It's really important for the judges to be able to see that hold on that handstand all the way up, getting ready for that dismount. Huge double layout. Almost had too much power, so she'll have a slight reduction on that landing. And that's great confidence here from the Wildcats. We've got a lot of big blue fans. That double layout, it's always exquisite when you see someone stick it. Almost had it. But that is one thing that Coach Garrison was talking to us about this week was getting those sticks, 6 for 6. Just getting the score for Gwen Fink, a good leadoff score of 9.8. And now it's going to be one of the seniors that will be recognized at the conclusion of the meet, Cory Shinohara, based out of Wilmington, Massachusetts. And she set her season best the last time they were home against the Panthers. Another nice Yurchenko full. Notice how there's those 2 white lines, and she didn't go outside of them, but she was a little bit crooked to that right side. So take a look here from this top angle. Almost went over it, but saved it, so nicely done there. But again, that direction will be a bit of a deduction. Shinohara has mostly competed on vault this season for the Tar Heels. And coming up next for Kentucky on the bars will be Cecily Rizzo, freshman out of Coppell, Texas. And Coach Garrison mentioned that his freshman class, they have come in and really delivered for him this year. And we'll see another freshman next after Rizzo in Delaney Rodriguez. It looks like the score for Hallie Davis has come in with a 9.85 to start things out. And now Rizzo, who set a personal best last week against Florida with a 9.875, gets going.
Starts out with another big straddle Jaeger. I love the toe point throughout the routine, right down to that bail handstand. They're really going to be looking for a stuck dismount right here. Nice double layout.
Perfect stick.
Wow, she got that stick. Take another look. Look at the height she gets on that release on the bars. That's something that the judges do notice and do see, the height that you get in the air. And again, ends with the stick.
Coming up next for the Tar Heels is another vault specialist, Paige Prejean.
Nicely done, Yurchenko full. Just a slight hop back, so that'll be the majority of the deduction. Take another look here. Really good height. A little bit close to the table though on that landing. You're gonna wanna see the distance from the table to when you land. A little bit more, but a solid vault.
Yeah, Paige Prejean has set her season best 3 times this year with a 9.75. And now we will move over to the bars as we await Paige's score, and we look at a 9.9 for Cecily Rizzo. And now up is the freshman Delaney Rodriguez out of Las Vegas.
Really nice Tkachev release move to start off. Another nicely done handstand. Again, they're going to be looking for that stuck dismount. Wow, that's 2 in a row.
It could be contagious.
We do always say sticks are contagious, so I would have to agree with that. Nice release move over the bar. And then really nice body position in the air on that double layout, drops right down into her stick. Nicely done.
Just saw the score for Paige Prejean. They received a 9.775, and now one of Carolina's all-around performers and top stars, Julia Noer, is up next for the Tar Heels.
She just has such natural power that you're going to see here. Really big 1.5. Yurchenko 1.5, again, that starts from a 10.0. So that's definitely something that they're going to want to keep in the lineup. That gives them that advantage of starting from that 10.0. Notice a little bit crooked on that, but covered it up well and just took that small step. So we're going to see a good score from that vault.
A 9.95 for Delaney Rodriguez on bars, and Julia Noer, I think she's going to get a good score for the Tar Heels on vault, elevating, from that Yurchenko full to that 1.5 and that blind landing. So coming up next for Kentucky will be the junior Jillian Perkaski. Junior out of Austin, Texas, has mostly competed on bars for Garrison's Wildcats. Set a career best of 9.925 last week against the Gators. We mentioned at the Open, they had a score of 198.1, the first time ever that Kentucky got into the 198s.
That's such an exciting time. It was such an exciting meet for them to break a program record, and well-deserved. I mean, you'll see tonight just how great and incredible just their gymnastics is all the way around on all 4 events.
Good strength on the handstand, a little hop from that dismount, but they're all doing double layouts, which is a high degree of difficulty.
Absolutely. We'll see a bunch of double layouts throughout the bar dismounts. You can see right there. Looks like she just tried to rotate a little bit more on the end. That's why you could see her chest was down on that landing, which is what caused that step forward, but nicely done.
Fifth up for North Carolina is their All-American Lali Dekanoidze.
Yurchenko full. She drops into that landing every single time and is just so consistent. I love the form and technique she has. One thing that they were trying to work on with her vault was that controlled landing, and I'd say she's done a really good job with that. Perfectly straight down the middle, too.
Dekanoidze last year was a first-team All-Eagle on vault before the Tar Heels transitioned to the ACC with 4 teams in the conference. And coming up next for the Wildcats will be Bailey Bunn, a senior out of Greenville, North Carolina. Another product from the Tar Heel State as the score is up for Prakaski, a 9.875. And Bailey Bunn has mostly been a beam and a bars specialist.
You can hear the fans cheering really loudly for her. It looks like she's got a lot of people in the crowd tonight, which always makes it more fun. Getting ready for her release move right here, straddle Jaeger. Really pretty. That build a handstand. A couple of those handstands have been a little bit short. Again, enough for the bonus. Nice handstand on top of the bar, getting ready for this double layout.
Perfect.
Almost. It looks like she's moved her foot a tiny, tiny bit. I'm not sure if the judges will see that. Let's take another look right here.
Next on the ball for the Tar Heels.
Nicely done, straddled Jaeger. And then into that double layout, drops into it. Just has the slightest foot movement.
But it should keep Kentucky rolling as Kaya Forbes, 6th up for the Tar Heels.
Huge, 1.5. She had so much height off the table, but unfortunately did not have enough rotation. So that's why that 1.5 can be really difficult. It's not only a blind landing, but again, she gets so much distance and height from the table, but doesn't have enough of that power and rotation. So nice vault. When she sticks that vault, it's gonna be a really big score for her, but unfortunately, that was a little bit short.
Raina Worley, she is 3rd in the country with an NQS average of 9.96.
Yeah, she's gonna be one of the most fun gymnasts to watch tonight. Starts out with a huge release move. Notice just the extension throughout the bar routine, on the handstands, on the toe point, all the way throughout. Again, right on top of the bar for that.
Yeah, she had a 10 on bars several weeks ago against BYU.
Huge full out dismount. Had too much power on that, so took a slight step, but I didn't see too much wrong with the rest of that routine. Take a look here, that huge release move.
Welcome, Hallie.
Nicely done bar routine.
And now we do have an exhibition for both teams. Here is Ellie King, one of the freshmen for Coach Durante.
Nice Yurchenko fall, had that hop back on the landing. But again, nicely done. And exhibitions are just such a nice thing because you're allowed to, switch out your lineup and see who feels comfortable where. And especially going into postseason, we start to see injuries or, lineup changes due to too many meets or some gymnasts or athletes getting tired. So when you have enough depth to be able to have exhibitions or more than 6 in your lineup, that's always a great thing.
And we do have an exhibition for the Wildcats. It is junior Annie Reigert from Mason, Ohio.
Another nice straddle Jaeger.
And one of the things that both coaches mentioned, as you said, the depth issue is being able to have like 7 or 8 gymnasts that could come in and perform when needed to.
Really nicely done routine. It was clean throughout, and that's exactly what they're looking for.
So 1 rotation down. Kentucky starting strong. So are the Tar Heels. We'll have more on ACC Network Extra.
My name is Isabelle Schaefer. I am a junior and I compete vault and bars, and I grew up in Huntersville, North Carolina. I started gymnastics when I was 2 years old. My mom put me in mommy and me classes. I can't remember a time where I didn't do gymnastics. It's kind of always been a part of me. I think I started competing around 5 years old, and I've loved it ever since. Always wanted to come to UNC, I think ever since 5th grade when I heard they had a gymnastics team. So I came to the gymnastics camps, and as soon as I stepped on campus, I fell in love with it. And growing up in North Carolina, I've always been a Tar Heel fan, so always been a place I wanted to come. My overall experience has really just been a dream come true. It's everything I wanted it to be and more. It's so hard to pick just one because there's been so many, but the first one that comes to my mind was my first meet in Carmichael. It was against Auburn, so it was a packed crowd.
With a tri-meet between the North Carolina Tar Heels, the Auburn Tigers, and the Bowling Green Falcons, this place is buzzing.
Nothing compares to like the first time you step out in Carmichael and get to compete in front of a home crowd. My teammates and I, we really are like sisters. They are my best friends, and we spend every waking moment together. And I'm just so lucky to be a part of something that helps me become like who I want to be and who's always there to support me. I'm just excited to compete with my teammates in the first ACC championship in Greensboro, and I can't wait to be part of this historic season. For me, being a Tar Heel means so many different things. It means that you're a part of a family and you get to compete and be amongst the best of the best, athletically and academically. I'm so grateful to be a Tar Heel and be a part of this amazing university.
One rotation in the books, and both teams starting to form as the teams switch up. Kentucky will be on the vault, and North Carolina will be at the bars. Brian Ware along with Sydney Sneed. And Sydney, we get a look at the Carolina bars lineup, as they will have a couple of seniors starting off. See with Jamie Shearer as Dekanoidze on the back. Meanwhile, as they get a look at it, Shearer, the only senior in this rotation, as well as the all-arounders Noer and Fink, and the stars with Schaefer and Dekanoidze in the middle of the pack.
And I think one thing to notice too is both teams on their first event got a 49+ score. That's what both teams are looking for, especially a Kentucky coming in for an away meet, and then Carolina, just such a strong first event for them as well. So they've got to feel confident going into their next couple of rotations. Kentucky
starting off with their 2 freshmen, Rodriguez and Rizzo, and then the experience. As you get a look at one of those freshmen, Delaney Rodriguez.
She starts out with a Yurchenko full as well. Landed short. Looked like she just didn't have enough rotation or power. You can see right there. Just doesn't have enough rotation on that flip and that twist. So that'll be a little bit of a deduction on that landing.
And leading off for the Tar Heels on bars will be Jamie Shearer, the senior out of Apex, North Carolina. She set a season best 9.825 in the last home meet against Pitt.
Starts her bar routine with that straddle Jaeger release move. Short on that handstand. Again, the judges are wanting those to be on top of the bar within 10 degrees of that for a no deduction. She's going to be looking for a stick. couldn't quite get it. Again, looks like she also did not have enough rotation on that double layout. We'll take another look here. Looked really good in the air, that body position. I love how it looks right here. And then just at the very end, couldn't pull it around. But a nice routine. There were a couple of mistakes, if you will, here and there, but I love how she was able to pull it together and still come out with a hit.
Coming up now, the freshman Cecily Rizzo.
A 1.5 vault, we talked about it before, starts at that 10-0, which is huge and gives you such a big advantage. She landed short. It is a blind landing, so it's more difficult, but you can see right here, pushes off, has plenty of height, just broke out too early, so step backwards and across. That's gonna be a little bit of a heavier deduction on that landing. So Kentucky is really gonna wanna focus in on those controlled landings in the rest of their lineup.
Coming up next for the Tar Heels will be Julia Noer, the all-around specialist. She's competed in so many all-around competitions in her now 3rd year with the Tar Heels.
And she's someone we talked about on vault, just having that natural power. You're gonna see it again here on bars. She's such a strong and aggressive swinger. And that's what makes her gymnastics so big and so much fun to watch.
She is currently 8th all-time in North Carolina history in the all-around score, setting it last year against the Wolfpack with a score of 39.45. She had an all-around score of 39.425 last time they were here in Carmichael against the Panthers. As you see the score for Jamie Shearer, a 9.45. So obviously that's the one that Tar Heels will be looking to drop.
Yeah, it looks like the judges hit her pretty hard on that dismount landing, again for that chest down and that step forward. This is a big opportunity for Carolina to get back on track and have the next 5 athletes go up and hit to their potential. So far, so good from Julia Noer.
She's had good control through this routine.
Looking for a stick, huge amplitude on that dismount, and wow,
and
that is a
shock on her face.
That is a textbook stick. Take another look here at her release move. A ginger. Notice how she grabbed the bar and was a little close into it, had to bend her arm, so that's going to be a deduction, but she did make up for that on that huge dismount with the stick.
Coming up next on vault for the Wildcats will be Ariana Patterson.
She does a huge front handspring, front pie calf. She had too much power, which is a good problem to have. But let's take another look here. You can see she gets tons of block off the table, does that half twist, and then takes that small hop back. So again, the landing is going to be where the deduction is, which is why Coach Garrison was saying that's really what they've been focusing on. Those landings are where we see most of the deductions on vault coming from.
Patterson has set a season best 9.925. It's probably not going to be that high of a score, but at least they're starting to find some consistency here on vault for the Wildcats as Noer's score is in. It is a 9.825.
That's exactly what Carolina was looking for, that 9.825 to kind of restart the rest of this lineup, because again, they have an opportunity to capitalize on their strong vault event and event score. So they're going to want to continue that over to this event as well.
Gwen Fink 3rd up for Carolina on bars.
She starts out with that straddle Jaeger, right up to the handstand.
She set her career high last time at Carmichael with a 9.9. We're looking for a good dismount here. If you're a Tar Heel fan, a lot of power on that double layout.
You could notice on that double layout that she let go a little bit early, so it took away from some of the power she had. I love that release move and the height she gets, but notice where her toes were when she let go of the bar. That cut off some of her power, but she did a great job.
Fourth up for Kentucky. There you get a look at Isabella Magnelli.
I love just the height and the amplitude they get off their vaults. You could see how high she was in the air and the controlled landing. She knew where she was. Look at that, huge over the table, turns and drops right into that landing.
Magnelli, she's one of the senior leaders for this Kentucky side. And she set a career high last year, the 9.95. Fink score is in, it's a 9.875. As one of the leaders for Carolina on bars, Isabelle Schaefer is up. She has been so consistent on bars this year, Sydney.
One thing too that I love about her is just the improvement that she's had on the small details. And you'll notice that throughout this routine. Really pretty Jaeger. Look at just the toe point and the extension throughout. I have not seen her toes or her heels come apart. And that's exactly what the judges want to see. So this could be a really high score. She could get a stick on this dismount. Huge full out. The smallest hop backwards, but wow, that was one of the prettiest routines we've seen tonight.
And you see how much the fans appreciate it.
Huge height over the bar on that straddle Jaeger. And then again, more height and amplitude off the bar on that dismount.
Fifth up for Kentucky will be their all-around star, Raina Worley.
We're gonna see a big 1.5 right here. Really nicely done. I love how you could tell just in her landing, she knew exactly where she was. And again, those blind landings are very difficult. You can see right here, great block, nice power. Just couldn't quite get the stick, but again, the smallest of the steps there.
She actually set her career high this year as Schaefer has another 9.925. That is her fourth 9.925 of the season.
Wow.
And now Lali Dekanoidze, who was so incredible on bars last year, getting that All-American honor as one of the best in the country, and she's getting into form.
Starts off with that Maloney right down to the bail. Carolina is on fire right now with their bar lineup. Nicely done handstand on top of the bar. Huge double out. Wow. I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to most likely be at least a 9.9.
Well, you got the Tar Heels chanting for a 10. Some of the fans think it could be a 10.
We'll take another look at this beautifully done handstand on top of the bar into the double layout. So much power, absolutely controlled, and just hits it on the head with the stuck dismount. That's going to be a big score for them.
And here's Mackenzie Wilson, one of the best gymnasts in the country on vault.
Mackenzie actually had a 10.0 on her vault last weekend. I love watching this vault. Look at just the block she gets. Had to take that small step backwards because of too much power. But that's still going to be a big score for Kentucky.
Yeah, after two that were a little bit below expectations, they've rounded into form with their 6 performers on vault. As Dekanoidze's score is in, it is a 9.95. A season best. It's not a career best. She has the all-time record of 9.975, but that is an excellent score for the Tar Heels.
Well deserved for her too, and Carolina has got to be happy. with how this bar rotation has gone. Again, we saw a couple of mistakes from Jamie Shearer, but still a hit bar routine. So for the rest of their lineup to really just attack, this event has been really awesome to watch.
Sixth up for Carolina is Amy Wozniak.
She started out with that shuttle Jaeger. She actually looked like she had to reach for the bar, so really good job being able to make an adjustment in the middle of that. Back up to the high bar. So far, clean routine. She's going to be looking for another stick, and she gets it. They are pumped about their bar rotation. We'll take another look at this release move coming up. Notice how she had to reach for the bar because she was a little far away. No problems on that double tuck and dismount, though.
And this is her first time ever competing on the bars.
You could not tell on that.
Exhibition performance.
Those are your Chenko full. Her hands did not get on the table. That's where you're going to get all your block, all your power, all of your height when your hands hit the table, and it looked like her hands were just too high on the table.
That was from sophomore Claire Stipich. And now Kaya Forbes is going to give an exhibition performance. She has come into the lineup and filled in for spots when they have needed it. And the score for Wozniak, a 9.825. That is an impressive performance by Carolina on the bars as Kaya Forbes, the sophomore, is ready to step up. She has competed for most of the season, had a season best of 9.775.
She's such a powerful athlete as well. You can tell on just all of the events that she's competing on tonight. Nice handstand on top of the bar. You see a really big dismount from her. Beautifully done. She's happy with it.
So we are 2 rotations through. Both teams have come through in big ways. Sticks abound, and we'll have more after this. We have reached the halfway point here in Carmichael Arena between North Carolina and Kentucky. With today being International Women's Day, we highlight one of the few coaching staffs in the country that is an all-women staff. It's the Tar Heels, and it's led by Dana Durante.
Having a female staff for me is one of two things. It's not just, hey, I want an all-female staff, so I'm only going to hire females. I think that's really important for people to understand. But it is absolutely, I want to hire the absolute best individuals. I think it empowers our student athletes. I think it shows them it doesn't matter if a particular industry or role is considered male or female.
I think that as a team, we're the minority having a female coaching staff, so it's really exciting just to know that we can reach the same potential that any other coaching staff can reach, and it's really motivating every day to come in the gym and just see an all-female coaching staff. It's very empowering.
I love what we embrace. Marie Denick, Mackenzie Quado, Jaworski, and Sammy. I love what we do and how we take care of our team and how we love on them and how we challenge them.
They're role models because they're our coaches, but also to see the impact that this group of women has had on not only the gymnastics team, but the athletic department at UNC. And just to see the growth, even from 3 coaches to now we have 4 on staff, I mean, that's amazing, and that doesn't happen everywhere. And it's just really nice to know and to prove to people that with an all-female coaching staff, like, you can make an impact. And I hope that our team and our coaching staff really serves as a role model to, you know, not just the gymnastics world, but people in the sports world, so they can see the impact we're making.
2 rotations down, 2 to go. We head to the 3rd rotation next on ACC Network Extra. The Tar Heels have caught magic again at Carmichael. They're only 3/10 behind the 6th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats. as the Tar Heels will move to beam and Kentucky will move to floor. Brian Ware along with Sydney Sneed. And Sydney, as we get a look at Carolina's beam lineup, I think a big player to highlight, athlete to highlight, will be Hallie Thompson, the graduate senior who's gone through so much adversity and is a staple on this beam lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. She's going to be really fun to watch on this event. Along with the rest of their rotation, they have a huge opportunity to continue to build and carry that over to floor after this, just to try and get and beat out that season high that they have. And so far, they're on track for that. So really exciting, and they should feel really confident with what they've done halfway through.
And now you get a look at Kentucky's floor lineup. Delaney Rodriguez started out really well on the bars, but get ready for Raina Worley. She is #1 in the country on floor. She has had 10s multiple times this season, and we could be on track for another if she hits it.
This is a really fun floor lineup to watch. I mean, they are absolutely stacked here. Notice how it's all seniors, and then you have 2 freshmen who have really stepped up. And one thing that Coach Garrison said was just the freshmen are doing so much and have made such a huge impact this year alone, and that's not normal sometimes for freshmen to come in and make such an exclamation point. So really exciting for the future of their program too.
So Carolina will start things off on beam, and just looking at their scores on bars just a moment ago, 49-4, a season best on the bars. And 2 of their athletes, Isabelle Schaefer and Lali Dekanoidze, finishing in the top 3.
Coach Durrani is going to be so proud of that bar score. Again, started with the 49 on vault, carried over to a 49 on bars. Don't want to jinx anyone, but they're going to be looking for a 49 on beam and floor as well. And I would say that is a complete meet for them, which is one thing that the coaches were consistent in messaging. We just want that meet put together where all 4 events are, to the potential of how we train them. That's what they're looking for tonight and throughout the rest of this year into postseason.
So the freshman Jessica Naranjo is getting us started. Looks like she's ready for her aggro series.
See that front aerial to the back handspring. She's just a natural beam worker, Coach Durrani said.
And there's the jump series. Her season best has been a 9.825, which she set both at Reynolds and at Littlejohn in ACC meets against the Wolfpack and the Tigers.
Getting ready for that back handspring, 1.5 dismount. The smallest hop on that, but really nice start to this beam lineup. Again, your leadoff competitor on beam is one of the most important spots in the entire meet, and she did a great job handling all of that pressure that comes along with it.
And now coming up first for Kentucky is going to be Delaney Rodriguez.
One thing we were talking about before the broadcast was that Delaney Rodriguez starts off on 3 different events, which is very unusual for a freshman. So that just goes to show you how awesome of a leader she is, how consistent she is, and just how great of an athlete she is to be starting off in 3 different events. That is huge.
Rodriguez set a season best last week against the Gators with a 9.875. And she's going to definitely be one of the star all-around performers over the next few years for Coach Garrison.
Ready for her last tumbling pass. Really nice, 1.5. Notice how high she got into that straddle jump, but a nice controlled landing.
Wildcats off to a good start on floor as you get a look at this last pass.
Look at how fun this is, that 1.5 to that half twist, straight into the straddle jump. Such a fun, creative tumbling run.
Coming up next for Carolina will be grad senior Hallie Thompson. And earlier this month, she was nominated for the prestigious AAI Award, which is an annual award given to the most outstanding senior collegiate female gymnast in the country. And her story, as I said, is so impressive. The fact that she suffered an injury in her first meet, I believe it was in 2022, and to come back in 2023 and nail it on beam. It was a great feeling for her and for her teammates.
So far, she's done a great job throughout this routine, just staying focused. You can see the confidence that she's had throughout the routine. Getting ready for this dismount. 1.5. Smallest hop forward, but well done. And really emotional for her last beam routine here in Carmichael. I love the triple series, back handspring, back layout. She makes it look easy.
Coming up next on floor is Isabella Magnelli, senior out of Suffern, New York. NQS average of 9.87 this season. Set her career best earlier this year against Missouri with a 9.95.
She starts with that re to the back layout. It's one of my favorite passes to watch because you could just see the height she got on that second skill in the air.
Magnelli, an all-SEC performer in 2023. This Kentucky side is third in the country, averaging just under a 49.6 as a team.
Really nice double pike to end that floor routine. She didn't even need that step because her landing was so controlled. Nicely done for the Kentucky lineup. Let's take another look at her first pass. She does it so gracefully, just the height she gets. It's like she floats and stops in the air in the middle of that back layout step out.
And coming up third for North Carolina is Gwen Fink. And she tied her career high last week in Lincoln, Nebraska in that quad meet with a 9.85, looking to replicate that.
Switch leap, beautiful connection. See a triple series right here. Back handspring, back layout. Really nicely done.
And talk about the difficulty, the difference in difficulty between what Hallie did with her triple series and what Gwen just did.
Yeah, they look very similar, but Hallie did 2 back handsprings into that back layout, and Gwen did 1 back handspring with 2 back layouts. So while they're both really difficult, it's more rare that we see the back handspring, back layout because it is very difficult. She ends with that back handspring, a 1.5. Couldn't quite get the stick, but again, beautiful routine. Take another look at this series we're talking about. Back handspring, back layout, back layout.
And she fought through it.
Yeah, she did look a little bit off on that, but you would not have been able to tell from the side where the judges look.
You see the score from Isabelle Magnelli just a moment ago, 9.95, tying her career high. And now Ariana Patterson, who is in her 6th year with Kentucky.
Really unique, 1.5 to front layout, right into that Shushinova down to her stomach. It's not a pass that you see every day.
Ariana's set career highs in all the events she competed in 2023 on vault, on floor, and we'll also see her on beam in the 4th rotation. The flexibility.
Getting ready for her last tumbling pass. Double tuck. A little bit short on that landing. Again, just didn't have enough power. But she did cover it well. She easily could have put a hand down or her knee down, but instead took that step. Let's look at her first pass, though, because it was such a cool and unique tumbling run.
Please welcome Shearer.
So coming up next is Julia Noer for Carolina. Tar Heels have been 3 for 3 on beam as Gwen Fink scores in a 9.8.
Starts off with the back handspring, back layout. I love the height she gets on that back layout. She makes it look way too easy. Switch leap to that split jump. Again, just such a dynamic gymnast throughout, but also the amplitude that she gets on the balance beam is impressive. Notice how she was a little bit off on that, but did a great job covering and making the adjustment mid-air so that she stayed on.
And now she prepares for her dismount.
She's gonna want to stick here on the round off 1.5. Almost had it. You could see that she broke out of that 1.5. That's how high she was in the air. But this skill right here, the front pike toss, it's like she's sitting in a chair when she lands it, which speaks to, again, the height that she's getting on each of her skills.
Next up for Kentucky is Hallie Davis, the senior out of New Bern. She tied her career high earlier this year against the Missouri Tigers with a 9.95. Double pike to start. As a sophomore, Hallie competed at the NCAA championships on floor exercise.
1.5 front layout for that second tumbling pass. That rise in the second skill is really what the judges are looking for.
And we were told, we talked with Coach Garrison. He mentioned how she was going to have a lot of fans taking the drive from Eastern North Carolina to see her, and so far she has shown out.
Yeah, I think he said that it was literally 100 people coming to see her, which is really cool. Last pass, that double tuck. Landed a little bit short on that last one. But a really fun routine to watch for Hallie Davis. Take another look here at the first tumbling pass. She does a huge double pike. Gets so much height in the air, breaks out of it.
And she is going to get a very strong score for the Wildcats, as fifth up is going to be Taylor Schultz from San Antonio, Texas, the junior, mostly competed on beam last year. And she has done so this year, fighting through it.
Getting ready for her acro series. Back handspring, back layout. Couldn't stay on the beam, so unfortunately fell on that series.
You can see the emotion on her face as she's trying to fight through this.
Getting ready, that dismount. Side aerial into a tough 1.5. Little bit of directional issues on that, but covered it well. We're gonna take another look here. That back handspring back layout. Can see right there, her hips just were a little bit crooked and couldn't quite hang on. Never want to have a fall, but she did a good job hopping back up on the beam and finishing off the routine strongly, which is all you can do. So really going to be looking for their last competitor, Jamie Shearer, to step up and get a hit routine for them.
Coming up next for Kentucky is going to be Kreslin Bros from Holly Springs, North Carolina.
This is a routine to watch. Watch her dance throughout. Can't help but smile throughout this routine. Starts with a huge round off, double pike, stays in bounds because she had a lot of power.
And last week she excelled for the Wildcats, had a score of 9.975 against the Gators.
A fun fact about her is actually that my mom and her mom went to college together and won a cheerleading national championship. They were on the same team. So,
and you said that was at NC State.
That was at NC State, and Kreslin, we went to the same club gym. So both of our moms won national championship together, and then we did gymnastics at the same club gym.
Well, she is definitely having fun as she gets ready for her final pass.
Getting ready for that. Really nicely done. Double fold it in the routine. And again, I love the personality and the dance that comes out of that floor routine. She ends too with a front double fold. That's a really difficult E-level skill that she is ending with. So that's something to keep in mind when watching out for her.
As you said, both you and Kreslin went to the same club, and I believe you said that was based in the area, correct?
Holly Springs.
Holly Springs. Yep. So Jamie Shearer, the senior from Apex, ready to step up in a big moment, as they have competed really well throughout this meet.
This is a really big moment in a big pressure situation. You have Carolina, who's been on a roll this entire meet, and they're doing so well. Had an unfortunate fall on beam, but now they have an opportunity to bounce back with a hit beam routine.
Able to fight through it on the aggro series.
Again, they're just going to be looking for a hit routine here, which Jamie is absolutely capable of. Getting ready for that front walkover into the gainer dismount. Nicely done. She came up big for them. And again, it is one of their seniors, so an emotional moment for her, but so exciting. Ending at Carmichael Arena with a hit beam routine when they needed it.
And now it is showtime as Raina Worley steps up. And there you see 24 times she has won on floor. She has had 4 10s all this year. And that score, NQS score of 998.
I think we should just sit back and watch this routine. I don't even know if there's much to say on it.
Perfect stick on the first pass.
Front full to front layout. You know, I might call it now. If she sticks this last pass, they might throw her a 10.
The control is so amazing to watch and witness.
But that just comes from a veteran, and that's exactly who she is and what she does. It's what Coach Garrison said all about her. He said she's definitely the gymnast of the year in my book, and that she's better this year than she's ever been. And that's so refreshing and exciting to see for her to continue to grow each and every year that she's done the sport, especially in college. Yeah, you know what? She sticks that double tuck. I would not be surprised if we saw a 10. Wow. Let's take a look at all 3 of those passes, because I don't know that I saw much deduction. So we'll see right here. Huge full in. Great form throughout, and truly the controlled landings are what stand out on every single one of these passes. Again, I'm going to call a 10 here. Huge double tuck. Just the height and the rise she got on the last pass, again, is something impressive.
We have our own confirmation bias.
We have got a 10.
Her
Wow.
5th of the season.
So well deserved. I mean, we called that in the middle of the routine. I didn't have any deductions. All of those passes, rock solid, controlled landings. And the Kentucky fans are going wild for another 10 by Raina Worley.
And I was doing my research, just going back over the times that Carolina's athletes over the years have gotten a 10. I believe this is only the 2nd time ever at Carmichael Arena that they have seen a 10 on floor.
Such a cool moment to have here and just to share with your team.
And we do have one final exhibition. It is from Ellie King.
Ready for that round back. 1.5 dismount. Lacked a little bit of rotation, but again, really impressive routine, especially when you have fans going crazy from a 10 on the other event going on. It's really impressive to be able to stay in your bubble and come out with a hit routine. So well done.
A 49.6 for Kentucky
on floor as they have one final exhibition performance. I believe this is from senior Carissa Clay.
That first pass, front tuck through to the double tuck. She had enough height in that, just broke out a little early, so has chest down on the landing. Ready for her last pass here. It's going to be a round off, back handspring. Huge double pipe. She came out with a stick on that. I love to see the sticks on floor because you are allowed to take that controlled lunge, but every once in a while we see a perfect stick, which again is very difficult to do on floor exercise.
Next up in exhibition, on the beam for the
Well, Kentucky has shown why they are one of the best teams in the country. They explode on floor. We head to the fourth, and it's Carolina's turn after this. What a day it has been here at Carmichael. A lot of excitement on senior day, and Kentucky just showed out on floor. They have a sizable lead on Carolina, but now it's rotation 4. Carolina will move to floor. Kentucky will go to beam. I'm Brian Ware along with Sydney Sneed. Sydney, what a performance we've seen from the Wildcats. Raina Worley, who's been one of the best gymnasts in the country, showed out and showed why she has been such a sensation for college gymnastics fans.
Absolutely, and I think both teams have done a great job this meet with continuing to build on each event. Now they're going into their fourth rotation where they can really end with an exclamation point. But again, we saw Carolina struggle a little bit on beam, pick themselves back up with a great overall score, and Kentucky ending with Raina Worley's 10.0. Well-deserved, so phenomenal job there.
Yeah, let's get another look of what Raina did on floor. It was such an amazing performance.
Take a look at her first pass. She's going to do a huge full in. Such a controlled landing like we saw. Into that middle pass, another stick. And then ending with, again, huge double back with her well-deserved 10.0.
And we talked with Coach Garrison about this race, the SEC Gymnast of the Year. You have the talent of Haley Bryant, the Olympic status of Leanne Wong, and just the passion that you saw just a moment ago from Raina Worley. The 8 SEC coaches are really going to be splitting hairs to see who really deserves this honor as Gymnast of the Year.
Absolutely. I think this graphic speaks for itself. I mean, Haley Bryant, Leanne Wong, and Raina Worley. This is what greatness is, and it is such a tight race between all three. That's why Coach Garrison said that Raina Worley is the SEC Gymnast of the Year in his book. But again, you can see just the perfect 10s and those all-around NQS scores. I don't think people realize how tough it is to get that score as your average. That's consistency every single meet, day in and day out in your training. So congrats to all three of these gymnasts. They're incredible.
Yeah, all three of them are in the top 5 in the country, and they'll all be competing, at regionals, at nationals. It's going to be a fun race to see who ends up with that distinguished honor. So we get ready for the fourth rotation. Worley will be on beam, as are the Wildcats. Tar Heels will move to the floor here on ACC Network Extra. We get set for the fourth rotation here at Carmichael Arena. The 6th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats, 49-6 on the floor. North Carolina has been very consistent with a score of 147.4 after 3 rotations. In Sydney, as we get a look at the SEC standings, Florida is going to win the regular season championship. They're 6th in a row, but look at the difference in the scores in terms of their NQS scores.
Kentucky is in the top half, so they are looking to try to get into the evening session for SEC championships. You competed in multiple SEC championships. They are such a joy.
Absolutely. I think this just shows you how big and competitive the SEC conference is, and you can see how just the slightest tenth of a point separates number 3 versus number 4, Florida versus LSU. So that just goes to show you again how great of a conference it is, but also those little tenths and details matter that we hear these coaches talking about, especially in postseason. If you want to win an SEC championship or the national championship, it could come down to literally a step.
And as you get a look at Kentucky's beam lineup, again, the freshmen lead off with Rodriguez and Brose. And in the back end, Worley and the beam queen, as they call her, Isabella Magnelli, will finish things off for Kentucky. And now we get a look at Carolina's floor lineup. Wozniak and Schultz leading things off with 2 of their best on floor, Kaya Forbes and Julia Noer in the back end. Julia has done really well so far in this all-around look, competing against one of the best in the country. And head coach Dana Durante, she has to enjoy what she has seen from her Tar Heels today on senior day. They've caught the Carmichael magic once again. In terms of their schedule, they have one more meet left before the ACC championships in Greensboro, and that's at another SEC school. They'll be traveling to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. And you mentioned how many times you travel to SEC gyms. LSU is like a cathedral of its own when it comes to gymnastics, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's really good preparation for postseason for them. It's something that we talked to Coach Durante about, or when you're going to either these SEC schools or going to the Sprouts meet that they went to in Utah, being on podium, having cameras in your face really makes a difference. Even though it's not part of the physical gymnastics, it's mentally, and it mentally can affect you or have, play a role in your mindset. So all that's really good preparation for postseason and how that'll look.
Wonderful aggro from Delaney Rodriguez, the 2 handsprings and the layout.
We talked about her on floor, but again, this freshman class has really stepped up, especially Delaney Rodriguez, leading off on beam, which is not a difficult event in general. Just goes to show the confidence that not only the coaches have in her, but her teammates as well.
And when she was in high school, she finished 4th in the all-around at the famed Nastia Lukin Cup, getting 1st on the beam, and she gets Kentucky off to a splendid start.
Let's take another look here. Beautifully done, back handspring, back layout series. And then I loved just the stuck dismount, round off 1.5. She stuck that cold.
So now Carolina gets started on floor with Amy Wozniak out of Wheaton, Illinois. She competed earlier on the bars, her first bar routine. And now she wants to get Carolina off to a good start. Double back to begin.
She starts out with that whip to double tuck, which is really difficult. But she landed a little bit short on that.
Wozniak set a career high of 9.825 against the Pitt Panthers here at Carmichael.
Ends with a double pike. Nicely done. That's a really difficult skill and tumbling pass to end on, but she did a phenomenal job getting her chest up on that landing. Take another look at that last pass. right here. Sets up for the double pike. Stays in bounds too, because she did have a lot of power and distance on that.
So next up is Kreslin Bros, freshman out of Holly Springs, who we saw get a 9.925 on floor just a moment ago.
Really huge front tuck to start off this routine. We don't see many front tucks on balance beam, but huge height on that. Into that front toss, back handspring combination. She did that switch leap and was just a little bit off on that. So did not connect it. We'll see if she adds connection or bonus. She does with that wolf jump combination. Getting ready for her dismount, round off 1.5. Almost had that stick, but again, she made good adjustments throughout the routine because she did not connect anything to that switch leap. Look at how huge, it looks like she's doing that front tuck on the floor.
So Kreslin Bros, her 2 routines done as Taylor Schultz steps up. After Wozniak getting a 9.775, Schultz will look to recover after taking that fall on beam. Fortunately for Carolina, they didn't have to take a fall in their beam score, just below a 49.
She started with that front layout into the Rudy. That's a difficult skill because you're punching from the first skill into that second one, and she just did not get the timing right, which cut off all of her power.
The junior who has spent the last 2 seasons with Carolina after her freshman year at Brown University.
Ending with a 1.5 front layout. So really nice job recovering from that fall on the first pass. We'll take another look at it here. She does this front layout right here, and then when she goes to punch, just misses the block. And unfortunately on floor, timing is everything. So it's hard if you don't have a block or a punch to be able to rotate or twist the skill around.
And she's being consoled by Coach Durante. Coach Durante mentioned in our interview with her how the team has learned and fought through adversity, through moments of struggle during the year in terms of the injuries, in terms of falls, in terms of a lot of adversity. And yet, as we said at the Open, these last several weeks, they've pushed through it, and now they're trying to get their best foot forward here late in the season. As third up for Kentucky is going to be Bailey Bunn, senior out of Greenville, North Carolina. We saw her do well on bars earlier tonight.
Wow, rock solid on that back handspring, back layout, triple series.
Bunn set a career high earlier this year.
And again, another switch leap. She wobbled on that and looked like she was going to connect it to something else. So again, to point out on beam, you have to build up the bonus that you get. You don't start at a 10-0. She does that switch leap into the split jump. So she redid that skill in order to start from that 10-0. Really smart move on her end. Now getting ready for the dismount.
In front of Coach Garrison.
Round up double full. She stuck that. She made up for that switch leap wobble because that double twisting dismount you don't see too often in collegiate gymnastics. And wow, this triple series, just the confidence that she had was awesome to watch. And then again on that double full.
Gwen Fink is next up for the Tar Heels on floor. And she improved her performance on floor by 1/10 of a point from freshman year to sophomore year.
She starts off with that double pike. Had plenty of power, but just held on too long before she broke out for the landing. So.
And I did see one of the judges raise her hand, meaning that she stepped out of bounds, which is another deduction.
A 2.5 twist, really difficult skill. One more pass left on floor. 1.5 to that front layout. No problems there. So a good finish to that floor routine. Unfortunately, that first pass will have a bigger deduction. You can see right here. Nicely done on the start, and then just holds on too long, which causes a couple of steps. And again, Brian, you said that she did go out of bounds. You saw the judge's hand go up, so that'll be an extra deduction.
Coming up next is Ariana Patterson on the beam. That's an NQS average of just under 985.
Really big, that handspring back layout. She had so much distance on that skill combination. Front aerial into the split jump.
Patterson actually set her career high of 995 at the regionals last year.
Pat leap into the switch side. Nicely done. Gonna be looking for a stick here on that pike gainer. Almost had it. Think she slid her feet back a little bit. Let's take another look and see. You can see she goes into that gainer off the end. A slight setback, but she did a good job.
Coming up next for Carolina is Bella Miller, junior out of Coral Springs, Florida. And she has really stepped into the floor lineup this season.
Really going to be looking for the rest of the lineup to have nice, clean hit routines. And wow, what a great way to start. Could see she had really good air awareness because she could have gone out of bounds on that, but she stayed in.
She set her personal best at Reynolds Coliseum with a 985.
She goes with a double pike. Wow, she is pumped. I love the facial expressions. What a great routine for Bella Miller. That is exactly what they needed. And again, the rest of their lineup are gonna also want routines that are hits like that. Look at this front tuck through to the double back. Nicely done. She popped up with her chest right in the air. Great job covering that up.
Ariana Patterson with a 9-9, and now Raina Worley is up next. We saw her get a 10 on beam on a floor just a moment ago.
She's just been so much fun to watch all night. Huge front aerial into a back handspring back layout. And let me tell you, she looked off on that front aerial, and you would never know because of how she just kept flowing through that really difficult combination.
So far this year, her season best is a 9.95, which she got in Tuscaloosa.
Huge round up, 1.5. Wow. That is Raina Worley for you. They're chancing 10 again. Take a look, front aerial, look how she was a little bit off with her foot, but wow, you would never be able to tell.
Fifth up for Carolina on floor is Kaya Forbes, a sophomore out of Louisiana.
When I think of Kaya Forbes, I just think of her having huge power. You're gonna see it here on this full end. Wow. That was awesome. And even from last year to this year, we've seen Kaya just break out of her shell so much more. She looks so much more confident in her gymnastics and her tumbling and her dance even. This is going to be a big score for Carolina with the hit last pass right here. Gearing up for the double tuck. Wow, that's going to be a big score. Incredible job by Kaya Forbes.
And that was probably not just a season best, that might have been a career best from Kaya.
Take a look at this first pass, the most difficult one, a full in, so much height. You could walk underneath her in the middle of that skill. And then again, ended with a huge double back.
Sixth up on beam is the beam queen herself, Isabella Magnelli. She set a career high earlier this year against Missouri at a 9.95 and a beautiful aggro to start.
She's so graceful on this event. One thing I've loved about Kentucky's beam lineup is just the confidence that they have, not even just in their gymnastics, but the dance and their sharpness.
Isabelle was a second-team All-American on beam in 2023.
Ends with that gainer pike and a stock dismount. That's going to be a high score to end on for Kentucky. One of my favorite skills of her routine, that back handspring, back layout, back layout. The smile on her face finishing that.
And now coming up is Julia Noer on floor for the Tar Heels. After both Bella Miller
And Kaya Forbes set up excellent scores. Bella Miller with a career high 9.875. Kaya Forbes matching her career high with a 9.9.
Starts out with a front layout. So dynamic and controlled in her tumbling and her landing.
You can feel the energy from the junior.
Now for the last pass. Huge double pike. Wow, another controlled landing for her and for this Carolina gymnastics team. What a great way to end the floor rotation.
Overeating for Kentucky in exhibition, Shearer.
Let's see this double pike again. Great job setting up for that and then just dropping out, knowing exactly where she was. That's going to be another big score for them.
We do have an exhibition performance from the Wildcats. It is freshman Sharon Lee out of Round Rock, Texas. As you see, Magnelli's score of 9.925, tying her teammate Raina Worley.
Yeah, what a way to end that Kentucky beam lineup. 9.9, 9.925, another 9.925.
And just looking at Kentucky's team score and also with all around, Kentucky at a 197.8, which actually has tied a program record in terms of their greatest road score ever. Last year, Kentucky got a 197.8 at Illinois. Today, they get another 197.8, led by Raina Worley, who in all around had matched her NQS average, 39.7. Now we have one final performance on floor for Carolina as you get a look at both teams celebrating the successful meet they've had today.
Please welcome
Cami Rueda, another part of this freshman class, was named the ACC Freshman of the Week after setting a personal best, 9.875 at Reynolds Coliseum.
Huge double pike to start off this routine. She is capable of doing a full in as well. You can see why, just from the power she had in that first pass. One and a half to front layout. One more pass left. Huge double tuck. What powerful tumbling she had throughout. Really nice routine.
It's definitely one that Coach Durante will look at to see if she can use her in the final couple of meets. But the scores that you see on the screen is the final score Kentucky score of 197.8. North Carolina, the Carmichael Magic came through again, saying their second best score of the season, 196.425. Raina Worley, 39.7. So far, our entire crew, led by producer Lauren George, director Nick Forbes, my broadcast partner Sydney Sneed, and our entire crew. Thanks for watching this presentation of college gymnastics here on ACC Network Extra.